You know your patterns and you want to change, but you don't want to make other people uncomfortable by living your best life. No, we aren't doing that anymore. If you are aware of your patterns and you don't understand why you can't just stop or change, then this video is for you. Because I'm going to tell you why logically understanding and thinking about your patterns doesn't change anything, and how to start making the shift from understanding to taking massive action. And yes, you will have to disappoint other people. And that's okay, because I'm going to show you how to feel safe in your body while disappointing other people. Because what's even worse is disappointing yourself. Welcome to video 5 of Against the Grain, Designing a Life That Actually Feels Good. I'm Angie, the Inner Glow Coach, and I help high-achieving women question everything they've been taught, become independent thinkers, and build self-trust so fierce that you can create a life that actually feels like you're where you're meant to be. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you already know that I'm going to share a powerful action step at the end, maybe more than one, because learning isn't just about information. Information is everywhere. The first step to actually creating change in your life is embodying that information in your day-to-day life, which is what this video is all about. So let's start with the obvious question. Why is it so effing hard to create change in our lives, even when we know the change is good for us? Well, it's because you don't want to upset other people, because anytime you try to change, it makes other people uncomfortable. You don't want to be judged by other people. You don't want to be misunderstood by other people. You don't want to be rejected by other people. Or maybe you're afraid of uncertainty, or you can see being successful, but it's scary because then you will have to be seen. But this is the harsh truth. I had to learn this by trial and error over many years before I finally learned the lesson. So I'm going to teach it to you in this video to save you the time and energy. Every time you level up in your life, it requires disappointing at least one person who benefited from the old version of yourself. There is no avoiding this. But the good news is that every time you level up, you will create a new version of you who cares even less about what other people think of you and cares more about what you think of you. And if your life feels more exciting and radiant than it was before, because this is the main message. Life is too short to not be happy. So why are you living your life for other people? Because then you're not happy. And I didn't truly learn the lesson about life being too short until my dad died, because he was only 63 years old and I was 37 at the time. And in my grief, I started having really profound thoughts about the meaning of life, which caused me to look at my own life, which caused me to realize that I was simply going through the motions of working out, eating, sleeping, repeat the cycle. And I had friends, I had a good job, I made decent money, I was checking off all of the boxes of society's arbitrary rules, but I was bored. And when I was finally honest with myself, brutally honest with myself, I realized I was miserable inside. And I talk about this story more in my book, Running in Slippers, but the short version is I started to think about, for the very first time in my life, what would make me happy. And I had always told myself that one day I was going to move to Hawaii, and one day I was going to write a book. And I realized that tomorrow is never guaranteed, and that one day may not ever come. And subconsciously I knew that, and I think it was just an excuse to never take action. But in that period after my dad died, I decided that I wanted to live my life as if I was going to die tomorrow and didn't want to have any regrets. Well, specifically, I didn't want to regret not doing something. And to this day, I live by that philosophy. I would rather regret doing something than not doing it. So as soon as I made the decision to move to Hawaii and be a writer, I got the ball rolling immediately. And keep in mind, and again, I go into this story way more detail in my book, Running in Slippers, and I also talk about it more in some of my other videos. I think it's specifically the Identity Upgrade series. But the short version is I didn't have the money or resources to move to Hawaii and be a writer. But I was so determined to do it that I figured it out. And it wasn't easy. And money and resources aside, the hardest part about it is I didn't have the support of my family or friends. So for example, even though my mom knew that my lifelong dream was to move to Hawaii, she totally rained on my parade, and she made it very clear that she didn't want to visit me. And a lot of my friends, they weren't necessarily negative, but I wouldn't say that they were supportive either. The best way to describe it is they didn't understand me, and I was at the point that I really didn't get them either. And all it did was expose that I really didn't have any close friends in Chicago. And this is only one example. In the mid-2000s, I was living in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I wanted to move to Chicago. And when I found a job in Chicago and told my dad, he totally rained on my parade. And even though it was only an hour further away, my mom also gave me a hard time, even though at the time my sister had been living in Florida for years, a move that my mom both emotionally and financially supported. So my point is, disappointing others is the price of self-trust and up-leveling your life. Because when you choose yourself instead of self-abandoning to make other people comfortable, you condition yourself to trust yourself. And when you make small or even big promises to yourself and keep them, you condition yourself to trust yourself. And when you have your own back and you can walk away from a toxic relationship or a toxic job or a toxic conversation, you condition yourself to trust yourself. And when you say no, instead of saying yes when you mean no, you condition yourself to trust yourself. And another philosophy that I now live by is, would you rather disappoint others or disappoint yourself? Because you have to live with yourself. And I can tell you from experience, most of the people outside of you that you disappoint, they get over it. And the ones that don't are not your people. And that can be a hard truth to face, but it's harder to face yourself when you disappoint yourself. And the people who are not supportive, they want you to live a small life because it makes them comfortable, because they're too afraid to get out of their comfort zone. And it isn't your responsibility to coddle them or make them feel better about their life decisions. Because when you disappoint yourself, your mind and your body remembers it, and it doesn't feel good. And this can lead to low self-worth, which can ruin your entire life. And I know this from experience because I used to have zero self-worth and I was miserable. We don't play small anymore. You were born to live a radiant, expansive, and exciting life, and you deserve that. And any emotionally healthy person who is secure with themselves and who truly cares about you wants you to thrive. So if you are alive on this earth right now, you deserve to feel happy and fulfilled. You deserve to let your inner glow shine. So on this note, we're going to do 2 action steps today, at least 2. I might think of another one as we go along. The first one will be familiar if you've been watching any of my other videos, but I only repeat things when they are important. And if you've heard me talk about it before and haven't practiced it yet, because that is where the magic is, this is your sign. Because again, I only repeat things when they're important. This isn't about information. Information is everywhere. You change your mindset with action and by showing up with the habits and behaviors of your future self, which is your next level identity. So, action step number 1, the 90-second anxiety slayer. The reason why this is important is because the reason why we fear disappointing other people is because we're afraid of how it makes us feel. But when you learn to feel safe in your body while feeling unpleasant feelings, that doesn't even become a factor anymore. So, I am going to teach you how to feel safe in your body when you are triggered within 90 seconds. And the first part that I'm going to say is based in science. When you are triggered, the physiological responses in your body, like the tight chest, the racing heart, sweaty palms, all of those things, the physiological responses in your body only last for 90 seconds. The reasons that they last longer are the emotional stories that you tell yourself in your head. So oh my God, sorry. But anyway, I forget where I was. I know I was talking about the 90-second anxiety slayer, but the physiological responses in your body when you're triggered only last for 90 seconds. The reason that they last longer is because of the emotional stories that you tell yourself in your head. So for example, if you disappoint someone and you get the racing heart, the tight chest, the sweaty palms, and all the physiological responses that come along with that, and you're feeding into this emotional story that, well, if I disappoint someone, then I'll get rejected. And then that means that I'm not enough, and you go down this spiral of shame. So this is how you get rid of the physiological responses in only 90 seconds. Step 1, get rid of the story. And I know that's easier said than done. And the way I do it is I just tell myself this is only temporary. And the truth is, it is only temporary because you do have to deal with the story later, because usually it is a story, it's not the truth. But for now, just get rid of the story. And the second step is to focus on the sensations in your body. So for example, if your chest is tight, focus on the tightness in your chest. I usually put a hand on the area of my body where I'm feeling the sensation. And for 90 seconds, focus on the sensations in your body. Make sure you're breathing. I usually put a hand over my diaphragm or stomach area to ensure that I'm breathing. And this is not, I did not create this exercise. This is not original to me, but the flair that I add to it is I tell myself I am safe in my body, because that is the truth. It doesn't feel safe, but you are safe, and you are accountable for making yourself feel safe in your body. And another thing I do, so for example, if I'm at home, my home is a physical safe space. So I will look around for confirmation that I am physically safe. So I tell myself I'm safe in my body, I validate that I am physically safe, and I focus on the sensations in my body. And I promise you, as long as you get rid of the story, the physical sensations do go away in 90 seconds. So this is a perfect exercise for feeling safe in your body when you're disappointing someone else. And for action step 2, ask yourself, what would I do if I wasn't trying to be liked right now? Because we filter and edit ourselves for fear of disappointing other people. No, we're not doing that anymore. And if this is scary, practice action item number 1. And also start small. You don't want to do any crazy extreme thing. You don't start skiing by doing the Olympic level lift flip or whatever they do. You start on the bunny hill. So if this is a new practice for you, just start by posting a polarizing opinion on social media, or speak up if someone is making you uncomfortable. And when I say that, it doesn't have to be confrontational or extra, because sometimes when I say this to my clients, it feels like the Olympic level, ski level jump. This can be, if someone is making you uncomfortable, this can be as simple as saying, and I say simple, not easy, it's as simple as saying, excuse me, that comment made me feel really uncomfortable. And if they have a huge reaction to it, that's not your problem. And see action step number 1 for feeling safe in your body when other people are having an emotional reaction. We aren't therapists. We don't manage other people's feelings. We are only accountable for our own emotional regulation. Unless you are a parent, then you are also accountable for teaching this to your children, because I don't know about you guys, but this was never taught to me growing up, and it was a huge disservice for most of your life. So an extra credit for this one, once you come up with the answer, what would I do if I wasn't trying to be liked right now? Do it. Taking massive action is how we create change in our lives. That's how you can prove to yourself that you can do it. That's how you prove to your brain that this thing that it's telling you is just a story. It's not the truth, because you are the kind of person that can take massive action and handle the consequences, because you know how to feel safe in your body, and you know how to feel safe disappointing other people when you're creating this radiant, exciting life that's good for you and feels good for you. So, one last thing, if you are realizing that you're ready for change, but you don't know the next right step, that's exactly why I created my freebie download. It's called the 80% Life Detector, and it's a quick self-check to see where you're playing small instead of fully expressed. So there's 5 different areas of life, including money, career, self-expression, and there's a few others. And then best of all, there's an exercise at the end that helps you bridge that 20% gap to your next level identity. And it does depend on taking a massive action, because most women, because I feel like women come to me and they feel like they're off track or stuck, but you're just living at like 80% of your highest self in subtle ways that you don't even realize. So this helps you identify where you've been shaping your identity around other people's expectations, where you're still playing small or filtering yourself or holding yourself back. And again, the exercise at the end helps you get clear on what your next level actually looks like, because you can't become who you are if you're still being the person who's afraid of what everyone else thinks. So the link to that will be in the description. And also, I wanted to let you know that I'm opening up my new coaching program, the Inner Glow Overflow. It's a 6-month identity upgrade where your inner and outer wealth expand and your life finally feels as good as it looks. Because this isn't just about mindset, and it's not about money either, although money is important and fun. It's about mastering both the practical and energetic side of abundance so you can actually create, hold, grow your wealth, and live a life that feels like yours, that's expansive and radiant and you feel alive. You're not just living and going through the motions. So if you're interested to be on the email wait list for that link will also be in the description. And in the next video, which is the last video of this series, we are going to talk about the godmother of massive action and how to actually start creating your own rules for life and living by those rules. That is where the magic happens. So I will see you in video 6 of Against the Grain.